Hi friends, and welcome back to the channel. So when I first started dabbling into videography at the beginning of the year, I was just using my phone, trying to learn the basics of video. But I quickly discovered that if I want to take photos and video of a trip, of a moment, then I need to learn how to use video on my camera. That way I'm not fumbling with both my camera and my phone, trying to capture a fleeting moment. But I'm not gonna lie, the whole aspect of learning video on my camera was super intimidating and confusing to me. So today I want to show you what I did to set up video settings on my Olympus EM1 Mark II specifically, and some of my favorite resources for learning videography so far. So let's get into it. So starting with what I did to set up video settings on my Olympus EM1 Mark II, this is where I think the world of YouTube is this wonderful, magical place. So what I would do is I would just Google or search on YouTube Olympus EM1 Mark II video, and I probably watched over 10 to 15 different videos about video settings specifically on the Olympus EM1 Mark II. And I want to highlight specifically two videos that were really helpful in breaking down this aspect for me, and they were Robynne basic video shooting tips for Olympus OMD cameras and Joseph Ellis's setup tour for video on Olympus OMD EM1 Mark II. As well, Image Space TV has a video called Olympus OMD EM1 Mark II video tips with Gavin Hoey. And what I would do is I would watch the videos through once, and then I would actually pull out my camera and try to follow along through the videos to see what they were talking about. And I would watch it a couple of times until I felt comfortable and that I understood what they were talking about in their videos. So after I watched a bunch of videos on video settings on my EM1 Mark II, and I felt more comfortable with what dial I should be on, what everything in the super control menu meant, what everything on my screen meant, how to adjust my settings, I just went and I further tweaked the customization on my camera. All right, so to show you in camera all of the customization I did to video settings on my camera, if we go into the menu here and we go under video menu, you can see under mode settings, I just left it the way it is. Under specification settings, I currently have mine set to 60. You can change this in the super control menu. I have my noise filter left at high, and I did turn my picture mode on. You can turn it off, but I just have mine left on. And then under AFIS settings, you can also change this in the super control menu. So I have my focusing method set to single, and I do have my image stabilization on. Under button dial lever, this is where I did majority of my fiddling. So under button function, one of the things I wanted to do is when I am taking photos, I can actually press this AEL AFL button and it'll change my ISO and my white balance. And then this changes my shutter speed and my aperture for the other dial. And I wanted to mimic that exact same movement for video. I also wanted to change it so if I hit this FN1 button, it'll start focusing, and then I can hit the shutter to start recording. So that's what I do when I am taking photos. I hit this FN1 button to back button focus, and then I use the shutter to take the photo. So I also wanted to mimic that exact same movement in here. And then for dial function, I just left everything the way it was. And then under shutter function, it was originally set to this one, and you would hit their recording button at the top to start shooting your video, and I wanted to mimic again what it's like when I am shooting photos. So now I can hit the shutter button and it'll start recording my video, which is nice. And then I left the electronic zoom speed as normal. Under display settings, I just made sure that the super control menu was on, and under movie audio, I have it set so the recording volume for the mic is just 5, just a nice in between. I have the volume limiter on. I do also have the wind noise reduction off. If I'm shooting outside and I don't have a microphone, I would turn it on, but I did invest in a microphone to help with wind noise reduction and everything. And most of the videos that I've been shooting lately have been inside the house. For plug-in power, I have it left on. You can turn it off if you're connecting a microphone that does not require power. And then for headphone volume, I just have it set to 9. Again, a nice in between. And then for HDMI output, I didn't really change anything in here. So when you're looking at the menu here, my camera is right now set to manual. So if I'm taking photos in manual mode, and one of the things I wanted to change for customization is if I wanted to take a video really quickly, I can hit the record button and it'll start recording just like it is right now. But if I also wanted to change my video settings without changing the dial at the top here, I can actually switch to 1 and it'll change to video. So now I can change my shutter speed, my aperture. I can actually go into the super control menu and change my video settings as well. So in enable that, all I did is I went into the gear icon, I went down to B, and under function lever settings, under function lever function, I changed it to mode 3. So now I can actually switch between shooting in manual mode for photos and recording a video without having to change this dial at the top. And then the last thing that I kind of did customization wise is how the files are basically saved onto my camera. So right now, if I am taking photos, this with the Olympus EM1 Mark II, you have the dual memory card slots. So this one is where I have it set to take photos and like save my photos, and this one is where my video files are saved. And so to change that, you can actually go into this guy gear icon again. If you go to H1, go to card slot settings, you can now see that slot 1 is where my photos go, slot 2 is where my video goes, and you can change this by going into save settings. So I have it set to standard where that's what happens, but you can also change it so it auto switches. So if this card becomes full, it'll start saving to my other card. You can change it to where you're saving to both cards and their respective settings, but if this one card becomes full, the other one can still be saved to. So you can change it to whatever way you want, but I just have mine saved. So photos go here and video go there. And that's basically everything for customization wise. You can see when we're in video mode, you can actually in your super control menu, like I said earlier, change a lot of things as well. So you can change your focusing method, you can change your stabilization, you can change what frame count you're using. So like 60 frames per second, 24 frames per second. What else? So you can change a lot of that in your super control menu. You can have like quickly get to button function. And so that's basically all of the customizations that I did when I was trying to set up video settings on my Olympus. Kind of at the same time of learning how to use your camera for video is learning the basics of videography. And this was the second aspect for me that was super confusing and intimidating, trying to wrap my head around frames per second and shutter speed and how they work together and why use ND filters. So this is again where I turned to YouTube and I watched a bunch of videos out there from amazing creators, and I want to highlight the ones that I found were the most helpful in breaking down these aspects for me. When it comes to breaking down in a simple way frames per second, I really liked Potato Jet's What Frame Rate Should You Be Filming In? When it comes to learning shutter speed and how shutter speed works with frames per second, I really liked Matt Johnson's Shutter Speed for Video Explained, how frame rates and shutter speed work. And then when it comes to like why ND filters are important, I really liked Lizzie Pierce's video called Beginner's Guide to Camera Lens Filters. It was a really simple way to break down lens filters as well. Think Media, why you need ND filters for shooting video is another great example of like a simple video that really breaks down the concept and helped me understand the importance of ND filters. And then step 3 for me, after I felt comfortable with like video settings on my camera and I felt comfortable with what frames per second meant and shutter speed and how they work together and why use ND filters, is taking just this deep dive into videography and filmmaking, learning as much as you can. So I want to share with you some of my favorite channels out there for learning more about videography and filmmaking. So the first is Matty Hopoya. I think I'm saying that right. He has a lot of videos about videography and filmmaking on his channel that I really do enjoy. The second is Brandon Lee. I recently found Brandon Lee's channel maybe about a month ago when I was planning out my cinematic gender reveal video, and so I really love his channel. He's got a lot of great tips in there, and one of his videos that I particularly became obsessed with and I think everyone should watch is the one where he talks about how you take a shot and turn it into a scene. The third is Allison Anderson. I've watched Allison Anderson's videos for a long time. She doesn't really talk about videography and filmmaking, but she makes these beautiful travel videos. So two of my favorites that she's done is her Alaska video and her Wyoming video, and she just does this beautiful blend of like vlog and cinematic style, and so I just love her travel videos, and they just like provide me with inspiration when I am like doing my travel videos. And then lastly, we have Laura Reed. So she does also kind of videos more on like the travel side, but she also has videos about like filmmaking and videography and how she does it for her travel videos, and I really like those ones. I have probably watched all of her like videography videos probably like 5 times. They're just really great. They're packed with information. They're really helpful. And so those are just some of my favorite creators out there so far in learning videography and filmmaking. There are so many out there, and I've probably only scratched the surface when it comes to them. I always love coming across new ones that I love watching and that I can subscribe to. So if you have any ideas of people that you love to watch when it comes to videography and filmmaking, leave me a comment down below because I would love to check them out. And then the last step that of course makes the biggest difference when you're learning videography and filmmaking is practice. So whenever I can, I try to make mini films at home. I make the mini film and then I review it afterwards to see what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, what I could have done differently. And a lot of these mini films I don't even post online. I just create them for the sake of practicing. And this is where one of Maddie Hapoya's videos, I'll leave it linked down in the description and I'll put a thumbnail up. I can't remember what it's called right now, but he basically talks about how when it comes to filmmaking, one of the secret ingredients to it is just learn, make, repeat. And so that's something that I try to really embody, is just learning as much as I can, practicing myself with these mini films, and then just repeating the process over again. So that, my friends, is a look into how I set up video settings on my Olympus EM1 Mark II, along with some of my favorite resources for learning videography. I really hope you found this video helpful. If you did, then hit that like button below and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.